Hey, let me try that.
Sure.
What do you call it?
Yo-yo.
A yo-yo. Such crazy driving. You know, Freddie, I hope you never drive like that.
I won't, Gramp.
Of course you won't. Every time I hear brakes screech like that, reminds me of the day I was introduced to the Stone youngsters. You remember?
Well, when was that?
Well, it was early spring. April, to be exact. And there was a moving van unloading outside of that old place which had stood vacant for a couple of years. You remember? You know, Freddie, if there's one thing I've always fancied, it's watching new neighbors move in. Can't you see where you're going, young fella?
Sure, I can see. Pops, what's the idea of standing out in the street? You want to get killed?
Listen, young man, this is a quiet neighborhood. There's no call for you to drive like a madman.
Is this the sort of characters that live around here?
Wouldn't you know Dad'd pick a neighborhood like this?
You mean you're the folks that are moving in here?
Nobody else. Any objections, Pops?
That I have. I object to your driving, and I object to your attitude. And furthermore, my name is Henry Fisher, not Pops.
All right, Pops.
Now listen to me.
Go crawl back in your family album, Pop.
Bill, Betty,
Yeah, Dad?
how about going inside and helping your mother unpack?
Oh, all right. Come on.
And Bill, move your car out of the driveway.
Okay, Dad.
Pops. Pops. That's what he kept calling me. Pops. That's the most aggravating thing in the world. And that young whippersnapper, he had the nerve to tell me to go crawl back in my family album.
At least you're being good company, Grandpa.
Sure, but I don't need him to tell me that.
I heard the Stone family comes from Chicago. Father's a chemical engineer.
Oh, is he?
Hmm? He works in the laboratory of the new plastic plant.
Well, how nice that they moved in our neighborhood. As soon as they've had a chance to get settled, I'll call on Mrs. Stone.
That's a good idea, dear.
What kind of a jalopy was it, Grandpa?
Huh? Oh, you mean the one that almost run me down? How should I know? Excepting it had 4 wheels. Too much speed and a crazy driver. Just about your age, too.
I think I'll go over and have a look tomorrow.
At what? The boy or the car?
Both.
Well, I hope your social approach is more agreeable than Grandpa's.
Okay, sis, now you can try it. Oh, wait a minute. Hold it. Got trouble? Huh?
Can I give you a hand?
Well, what do you know about cars?
Well, I worked at Donaldson's service station last summer. I know enough to get by.
You mean to tell me they've got a service station in this town?
Got news for you, fella. Trains stop here. We've got phones and movies. We've even got television, too. Let's see that screwdriver. Could I have some of your tools, please? That's fine.
now, take it easy. Don't wreck Emmy.
Emmy?
That's my jalopy's name.
That's my sister's name, too.
Emily what?
Huh? Oh, Fisher. Emily Fisher. I'm Pete.
Fisher?
You mean you're related to that old sorehead?
Well, if you mean Grandpa, you can't blame him for burning when you almost ran him down.
Well, he was blocking traffic.
That isn't the way I heard it.
Say, he's great.
Better wait and see if it works.
Okay, sis, try it.
Well, I've got to be getting down to the drugstore to help Dad. I'll be seeing you.
Hey, wait a second, Pete. If Emmy throws another shoe, can I call on you?
Sure, Bill, anytime.
Bye. Bye, Pete.
Bye, Pete.
Okay, sis, tromp on her.
That stone, kid. Now, do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I wonder if his parents know about him driving like that.
No, I didn't. But now that I do, I'm certainly going to do something about it.
What?
Did you notice that Sheraton table in the hallway? Oh, I sure did. They certainly have lovely antiques. Do you think that vase on the mantel was a real Copenhagen? Well, of course it is. Personally, I don't care too much for Chippendale, but then I've got to admit that corner whatnot was out of this world. Oh, I thought it was a bit ornate. But I'd love to have a Queen Anne desk like they have.
And who is they?
The Stones. Mother and I called on Mrs. Stone this afternoon.
Oh, was Mr. Stone there?
No. Why?
Nothing.
Well, I think I'll turn in. Good night, folks. Good night, Dad.
Night.
Night, Mom. Good night, honey. Night, Grandpa.
Good night, my dear. What kind of a woman is Mrs. Stone?
Well, I don't really know. Except she gave me the impression that she was a terribly lonely woman.
Lonely? With a husband and 2 children?
And what children? Why, that whippersnapper almost ran Carl and me down as we were coming home.
Ran you down?
No, dear. He missed us.
Wait till I throw you a really fast one.
Wow.
What's the matter? Did I scorch you?
Well, I've got to go, Bill.
Oh, come on. What do you got to go for?
I have to go home and mow the lawn. Say, Bill, our team could use another good pitcher.
What team?
Our church team.
Oh, well, I guess that lets me out.
But why?
Well, anything to do with any church my old man's set against.
What's your father got against churches?
Well, nothing special, I guess. It's just that, well, as far back as I can remember, he's always been dead set against them.
Well, that's too bad. Well, so long. I'll tell you, Betty.
Well, go on.
Betty, will you bring some of these things over to the sink, please?
Oh, I'm tired.
Bill, do you mind?
Oh, why pick on me?
I've never seen anything like it. Every time I need any help around here, I can't get either of you to do a thing.
Oh, Mom, why don't you quit beefing?
Just a minute, young man. I won't stand for your talking to your mother like this. Now, clear those dishes from the table. You too, Betty.
Rufus,
Yeah?
I had a lovely visit at the Fishers today. Mrs. Fisher and her daughter are really fine people. And you know what?
No. What?
They invited us to go to church with them next Sunday.
Huh? Oh, yeah? What'd you tell them?
I said we'd go.
You what?
I said we'd go.
Oh, you did, eh?
But, dear, I'd like to go. Now that we've moved into a new town, I was hoping we could, well, start a more normal life.
You know how I feel about churches and religion.
Maybe that's what's wrong with this family. Maybe if the children had had some religious training, they'd show more respect for us now.
Our children are not going to church. Not until they're old enough to decide for themselves.
Couldn't you be wrong for once? Why must you always scoff, like an atheist?
How many times do I have to tell you I'm not an atheist? Only a fool would say there's no God. In due time, Bill and Betty will learn that for themselves.
In due time. When, where, and if. What's wrong with them going now?
We're not going to any church, with or without the Fishers, and that's final.
Dad,
Yeah, Bill?
I'd like to borrow your car today.
What's the matter with your own car?
Why, Emmy broke down.
The answer is no.
But, Dad, today's Decoration Day. You won't be using the car.
I said no.
But how can I get to the ball game in Reading if you don't let me have the car? It's 35 miles away, Dad. And besides, I promised I'd take Pete Fisher.
I don't care who you promised to take. You can't have my car today, so let's say no more about it.
Good morning.
Morning.
Fine morning. Nice weather for Decoration Day.
Oh, by the way, Mr. Fisher, would you mind telling your daughter-in-law that Mrs. Stone won't be able to go to church with her this coming Sunday?
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Anna was sort of looking forward to it.
Best insecticide on the market for the money.
You don't say.
I ought to know. I made the formula. It's a byproduct of our firm. Having trouble with your roses this year?
Well, no more trouble than every year. First it's aphis, and then it's mildew, then it's more aphis, and then it's red spiders. Oh, by the way, Mr. Stone, will you take a look at this rose bush up here? I'm having a little trouble with mildew.
Sure.
Well, I'm not certain it is mildew. By the way, Mr. Stone, tell me, why are you so dead set against letting those kids of yours go to church?
Well, since you put it so bluntly, I'll be just as blunt. I love my children, Mr. Fisher. I don't want to fill their minds with all sorts of inhibitions and ready-made ideas.
Ready-made ideas, huh? That's just what you're doing, Mr. Stone. Filling them with your ready-made ideas.
When they grow up, I want them to be clear-eyed, resolute, independent, unafraid. Not confused with a lot of religious bugaboos.
What are you up to?
I'm looking for Dad's car keys.
But Dad said you couldn't have the car.
So what?
And that's the way I look at it. When Bill and Betty are old enough to make their own decision, I'll be very willing for them to go to any church they choose.
Old enough? Why, shucks, Mr. Stone. Do you wait until a child is old enough to decide to go to the dentist or the doctor or to school? We just know what's good for them and make sure that they get it.
But going to church isn't like going to a dentist. Religion is something more intimate. It's a matter of personal conviction.
That it is. In our family, it's always been a matter of personal conviction. And when a man has personal convictions of his own, he just naturally wants to pass them on to his children, especially when he's certain in his heart that what he's got is good.
I wish I could agree with you.
You know, Mr. Stone, our children are given to us as a trust from the Lord. The Bible tells us that. In a sense, they're not ours. They're His. And He expects us not only to feed their bodies and educate their minds, but also to take care of their souls. And someday we're going to have to give an account.
If you don't mind, Mr. Fisher, I've got to get these letters in the box.
Oh, Mr. Stone, do you think I should wait until this rose bush is old enough to decide whether it wants to be sprayed or not?
I thought we'd drop that subject.
You just can't get away from it, Mr. Stone. If you don't weed your roses and you don't spray your blooms before the bugs get the best of them, it's too late to do anything about it afterwards. The time to do your weeding and spraying is when they're young. Same goes for youngsters, too.
Sorry I can't stay, Mr. Fisher. I must mail these letters.
Pete.
Yes, Dad?
Come here a minute.
Take it easy. Sure, Dad. Where's the jalopy? Fell apart. Dad told me I could borrow his. Come on, get in.
Through a boulevard stop.
So what?
Hey, Bill, slow down, will you? Are you crazy? We can't leave an accident.
It wasn't Pete's fault. He tried to get me not to leave the accident, but after borrowing Dad's car when he said I couldn't, I guess I got scared.
Well, I hope you realize this is more than a traffic violation. Even if nobody was in the other car, this is a hit and run according to the law.
But I'm fully covered. My insurance company will pay for the damage.
Mr. Stone, that doesn't alter the case. Hit and run is a serious offense. Your boy will have to be held.
How much is his bail?
Mr. Stone, that's up to the judge. But inasmuch as this is a holiday, you'll have to wait till tomorrow before the hearing can be held.
Look, Chief, I'm sure you can depend on Mr. Stone to have his boy in court. Couldn't you release him into his father's custody?
All right, Mr. Stone, I'll let the boy go home with you. But you both better be here for the hearing.
We'll be here, Chief. Thank you.
Just a minute. Mr. Stone, if you don't mind, I'd like to give you a word of advice. You're new here in Middleburg, and you're welcome. But it is your duty to see that your boy doesn't violate our laws. And you, young man, we've had our eye on you for some time. The way you drive that hot rod around makes you more dangerous than a maniac with a loaded gun.
I'll forbid him to drive. He'll be confined to the house. I'll deprive him of...
Mr. Stone, you don't seem to understand. You don't make good citizens out of young people by forbidding them to do things. You must let them do things, the right things, and that's where you as the father come in. You must help that boy. Help him know what's right. Now, I would suggest that you ask Mr. Fisher about the clubs his boy belongs to down at the church. But whatever you do, do it soon. The time to bend the twig is when it's young, not after it's grown into a tree.
Someone else said something like that. Only this morning.
Am I late? Oh, you're here. Are you all right, boy?
Sure, Grandpa.
You're too late, Grandpa. It's all settled.
Now, if you gentlemen will pardon me, I'm supposed to lead my boys in the parade. I'll see you all later.
Say, we can get a good look at the parade from the window there.
That's a great idea. Come on.
Come on.
Come on.
All right.
Mr. Fisher?
The name is Carl.
Carl, I want to thank you for interceding with the chief.
Forget it.
It's hard to forget what he said. I guess I haven't been much of a father. It's true. The time to bend the twig is when it's young.
Well, Bill isn't exactly a grown tree yet. I guess the chief got to his boys just in the nick of time. Shall we go watch?
Good morning, Mr. Fisher.
Good morning. Fine morning, isn't it?
This bush certainly picked up fast. Look at those blooms.
Yes. Only a week or so ago, this here rose bush looked like it was on its last legs. Remarkable what a little spraying and weeding will do, isn't it?
You know, Mr. Fisher, since Decoration Day, I've been thinking things over, and, well, I finally concluded that I, too, ought to start some weeding and spraying.
Oh? Oh, when do you figure on starting?
Sunday morning. Oh, and, do you suppose you could prevail upon your daughter-in-law to give us a rain check on that invitation to church?
Do I suppose? Why, she'll be tickled to death. I mean that.
Thanks, Mr. Fisher.
Yes, sir. I'll see you Sunday morning. I don't know whether you remember or not, Sonny, but the next Sunday was when we took the stones to our church.
Yeah, I remember, Gramp.
Which just goes to prove that there isn't too much difference between this here rose bush and young people. They both need care. And you know something, Freddie? With a little weeding and spraying, I've got an idea that those stone youngsters are going to be all right. Yes, sir.